What is happening, everybody? We are back for episode 2 of Steele Talkin Sports, and let's get talking. So, what is up? It's Monday, March 18th. We had a crazy week of college basketball. Insane games in every conference. I'll highlight the ones that I like the best. But it was a wild week. With the first week of DraftKings Live, there was a ton of money to be made. I made some, then lost a lot, then won it back. I'll recap some of that as well. But it was a fun week nonetheless. A lot of good games, a lot of teams that overperformed compared to what they did in the regular season. And then teams underperformed that were, exceptional during the regular season. So a lot of takeaways there. I'll get to recapping some of the conferences here in just a moment. But I wanted to say thank you to anybody that watched last week's video. Also, thank you to all my friends and people that, supported me in the first episode and said that I did a decent job. So thank you to everyone there as well. So yeah, let's get to recapping some of what went down over this past week in college basketball. Where do we want to start? I'll highlight the first one at the top for me, just because I'm a fan of North Carolina. The NC State run with 5 games in a row. Very impressive. They went through a gauntlet of teams. They played well. Let's see. I'm getting to that bracket right here. Give me 1 second. So NC State, obviously they beat North Carolina in the final. Let's see. They beat Louisville 94-85, Syracuse 83-65, Duke 74-69, Virginia 73-65, and then North Carolina they beat 84-76. This team was on the outside looking in. They've got 22 wins now. They were 17-14 going into the conference tournament, 10th in the ACC, and they were a 100-1 favorite to win the conference tournament. This was not a play that I thought was possible. I did not think that they had the offense to compete with those teams. And I just thought that they would slip up at some point in the conference tournament like teams do, but they forced their opponents into slipping up. Very impressive. Great job for NC State. They do have a tough matchup in, Thursday against Texas Tech in the NCAA tournament. Maybe they can make a run, but I think Texas Tech is a more athletic team. I would look to – also, I think NC State just spent a ton of energy winning 5 games in a row. I think they're going to be gassed. I don't think they're going to have the legs to compete. But if DJ Burns plays the way he did this past week, they could win another game or two, I think. He's a beast down low. You can't really guard him. He just got too much weight to throw around that nobody can stand up to him under the post. So, great job by NC State. Next is Iowa State. Oh, my God. Great win against Houston. That was utterly impressive. I'm currently rewatching that game right now on ESPN Plus because I wanted to just see it again. To shut down Houston in the way that they did, allowing only 23 points in the first half and then 18 points in the second half. I mean, my goodness. This was an insane game. If you look at it here, Iowa State outscored them by 21 points in the second half. They already had a 7-point lead at halftime, but outscored them by 21 in the second. As a team here, Iowa State shot 50%. Houston shot 26%. Iowa State knocked down 9 3-pointers out of 22 attempts, and Houston went 4 for 22 from 3. Iowa State just shut them down on defense. I mean, they played exactly the way Houston usually does, and that was pretty impressive. So I think Iowa State is a much better team than I gave them credit for. Now, I did win on Iowa State during this game. I guess I could go ahead and talk about that because it was electric. So if you were following any of my picks on Twitter, Monday on the first day of DraftKings, I had an excellent day. I missed on the one play I called out in the video with Charleston -6. I think they won by 5, so that was kind of a bad beat. But after that, I hit the next 4 plays in a row. So I started out really hot on Monday, but it kind of went all downhill from there. Let me pull up the Twitter account so I can see what all I placed that day. Make sure I get these things right. So let's see. On Monday, Lamar -8.5 cash, Nicholls State -5.5 cash, and then I had a parlay James Madison and Cleveland State. That all went good. So then Tuesday, bunch of duds. LaSalle, no. Louisville, yes. Gonzaga, no. And then the parlay Davidson and UCF, no. All the conference tournament futures that I put out on Tuesday, none of them played out. South Florida advanced the farthest. I guess St. John's did too because they played UConn in the semis. But South Florida was in the semis in the AAC. I actually thought they got robbed in that game against UAB. The fouls were heavily favored for UAB in that game. South Florida should have gotten a lot more calls that they didn't get. And then on top of that, they just didn't make the shots. So offensively, they weren't shooting the ball well, but they were getting fouled all over the place, and they just weren't getting called for it. So that was a tough one. Ryder lost a nail biter to St. Peter's, I believe. And then South Carolina got destroyed by Auburn. So that was no good. Let's see. On Wednesday, I think this is when I started a streak of terrible picks in a row. Wednesday, I missed everything. Thursday, I missed everything. Friday, I missed Purdue and Sam Houston. And so after that, I went into kind of a icebox freeze over on myself. I decided that I was not going to post any picks to Twitter because I kept fucking picking every game the exact wrong way. If a team was favored by 4.5, they lost by 4.5. If a team was plus 3.5, they lost by 4. I just could not catch a break, and so I had to put myself in timeout. It sucked. But then on Saturday, my boss gave me a day off. I got to watch college basketball all day, and I was still losing early in the day. I lost on Purdue. And something else, and then things changed around. Things really changed around Saturday afternoon. I had a $5 bonus bet from DraftKings, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to shoot for the moon, and all these favorites have been letting me down, so I'm just going to pick all dogs. And about 5 minutes into the Temple and FAU game, the Iowa State and Houston game, and the New Mexico, who were they playing? Sorry, I'm blanking. Whoever New Mexico was playing, UNLV maybe? No, San Diego State. So about 5 minutes into those 3 games, Temple was down 19-11, and I hit the live money line on Temple at plus 1,100. Iowa State was currently winning, I think what the score is right now on the screen. So it's 13 minutes left in the first half. Iowa State was leading 9-6. I think this is about the exact time that I placed this bet. Iowa State on the money line was still plus 150, I think, if I can get that right. Let's see. Yes, here we go. Iowa State was plus 165 on the money line at the time, and New Mexico had I think, 6-point lead against San Diego State. Might have been like 18-12. And that money line was minus 140 for New Mexico. So I took a $5 bonus bet and parlayed those three money lines together. Temple plus 1,100, Iowa State plus 165, and New Mexico minus 140. All of that hit. Somehow, Temple won by 1, Iowa State won by 28, and New Mexico won by 7. And that $5 bonus bet paid out $267. And after 4 days of absolute losers, I was back from the icebox, and I felt amazing. After that, I was so juiced up. I drank 3 beers and got super drunk because I drank them way faster than I should have. I was just super excited. I think I drank 3 IPAs in an hour. That was not smart. But I also took after that I was feeling really great. I took a $50 bonus bet. I put it on Oregon money line against Colorado. That was plus 135, plus 145, something like that. I cashed. So after having 3-4 days of losers, I had a plus $300 day. It made me feel great. Brought us back from the hole that we were in, and finished the week out strong. And that was pretty fun. So yeah, that was like the one highlight of the week after a bunch of duds. Other conference tournaments that were wild. I just mentioned the Temple. Them making it to the finals with the gambling scandal going on there was impressive. Would have been awesome to see another team that was below 500 make it to the championship game with a chance to go to the NCAA tournament. That would have been pretty cool. Next, Tennessee getting blown out by Mississippi State. That was a surprise. They got destroyed. Let's see. The St. Peter's run, they had to beat like every good team above them in the MAAC. So that was awesome. The devastating collapse in Kent State and Akron. I feel so bad for the kid. They made a layup or a free throw to go up 1 point. Akron's in the double bonus. There's 5 seconds left on the clock, and the kid fouls for no reason when Akron inbounded the ball. And they made the 2 free throws. They went up by 1, and Kent State didn't make the heave at the end. So that was a heartbreaker. Wisconsin, Purdue. This was a weird game. If you watch this game at the very beginning, probably like 5 minutes into the game, Zach Edey goes up for a rebound on the offensive end. He's 7'4". So when he goes for a rebound, everything is over the back if he's not in the lower position. But this guy for Wisconsin wasn't boxing out. He didn't have his hands up for the board, and he wasn't in good position at all. And Zach Edey just easily puts his hands up and grabs the rebound and then goes over top of him for a dunk. The ref called an offensive foul on Edey and over the back, I think on the dunk, because it wasn't on the rebound, which didn't make any sense. And then he got a technical foul at the same time for, I don't really know what the explanation was, like bumping into a Wisconsin player after that. But that was 4 or 5 minutes into the game. Matt Painter took Zach Edey out, and he was on the bench for 10 plus minutes in the first half. And I think that changed the game entirely because Wisconsin was able to go down low without Edey in the game and his enormous wingspan to block shots and grab rebounds. And so even though Purdue still had a lead in the first half, it didn't look as clean of a game as it could have been if Edey would have been in there to get his usual 12 to 15 minutes for the first half. If he would have been in there and got his usual minutes, I think Purdue's lead would have been, closer to 10 points at halftime. It was, it was tied at halftime, 36-36. So Purdue at one point had a 6 or 7 point lead in the first half, but I think it could have been stretched if Edey would have still been able to be on the floor. So I thought that was kind of a ticky-tack foul that really changed the momentum in Wisconsin's favor. And then after that, they certainly picked up on the offensive end and played a much better game. But a lot of weird fouls called in that game and many other games for that matter. The next game, the Big Ten semifinal, Nebraska and Illinois. What a tale of two halves. Nebraska scores 51 points in the first half to have an 11-point lead. And then in the second half, Illinois scores 58 points and outscores Nebraska by 22. That's so wild. Nebraska, first half, second half totals 51 and 36 points. Illinois, 40 and 58. That's the weirdest tale of two halves that I've ever seen for two different teams. It's almost like last week, the UAB and Memphis game, I think it was UAB and Memphis, where UAB scored 61 or 62 points in the first half and had a 20-point lead, and then somehow lost the game by more than 8-9 points. That was insane. So a wild finish in there. And then late on Saturday, or was this Saturday or Friday? Yeah, Saturday. The UT Arlington and Grand Canyon game. I've never seen a college basketball game where one team shoots 50 free throws. Yes, I said that right. 50. Grand Canyon shot 50 free throws as a team and made 37 of them against UT Arlington only shooting 22 free throws. I don't know what to make of this. I've never seen so many fouls in a game. This was a game where there were fouls called where players didn't get touched. They're calling fouls for things that don't exist. I was on Arlington plus 7.5. I think I bought the number up a little bit to give me some room. And it was a close game for the most part. And then at the end, the foul disparity obviously just changed the game. Now, I will say, even in a losing bet, watching the end of this game was hilarious because if you've seen this highlight, Grand Canyon gets out, they inbounded the ball with 8 seconds left. And instead of running the clock out, Buddy decides to go for a windmill dunk and makes it. And then as he's running back up the court, there's still 2.6 seconds left on the clock. An Arlington player bumps him. And then another Arlington player who had grabbed the ball after it went through the hoop, he hits him with a supreme dodgeball launch throw. Throws the basketball at the guy who dunked it, and the bench is clear, but the coaches got in the way, so there was no fight. But if I'm going to lose a bet, I want my team to go out swinging. And he went out swinging, but that was pretty disrespectful as well. You're up 10 points. There's 4 seconds on the clock. Run the clock out. Don't be a dick. He shouldn't have dunked it. The player shouldn't have threw the ball at him. But, hey, man, if you're going to go down, you go down with a fight. So I love the intensity, sticking up for your team. So that's the recap of the week. It was fun. It was great. But let's move on to the bracket for this upcoming week in the NCAA tournament. Let's get it going. I mean, it's going to be a great week. There's some awesome matchups ahead. We've got the first four starting out on Tuesday. Those games are at 6:40 p.m. Howard versus Wagner. I believe Howard is favored -3 right now. I will be on Howard. I like the number at 2.5 better than 3. So if you can find that, that's where I would go. Personally, my handicap here is Wagner and the Northeast Conference are just not as strong as Howard in the MEAC Conference. I think the MEAC is the stronger conference, and that will prevail in this game. Their competition that they play against will have them better suited for this first game on Tuesday the 19th. Second on Tuesday the 19th is Colorado State and Virginia. I don't think Virginia should be in the tournament. That's kind of one of the biggest surprises to me. Just the way that they lost to NC State and the game before against Boston College when they had to go to overtime. So 2 overtime games in a row. One they should have lost, and one they did lose. But also, Virginia is just a terrible free-throw shooting team, and I don't like them in this matchup. Tony Bennett is a great coach, but I don't think they should be in the tournament, so I will be on Colorado State, and that line is Colorado State -2 right now. So I like that. Don't like Virginia. On Wednesday, we've got Grambling against Montana State. Now, Montana State has a first-year coach, but they did have a magical run in their conference tournament to win their 3rd conference tournament in a row. The Big Sky is a competitive conference. I like Montana State against Grambling out of the SWAC. And if you look at metrics like KenPom, he has the SWAC as the lowest rated conference in Division I basketball. So I think that's all you need to know. Montana State is on a roll right now, and I think they're riding high. I think they play better and beat Grambling. And then the last game on Wednesday, you've got Colorado versus Boise State. This is an interesting matchup because it's 2 teams that are kind of familiar with each other. I mean, they're out there in the Mountain West area. I don't know if these teams have played each other recently. I guess we could check on that. But it's interesting because they're not too far away from each other. They should have some familiarity with one another. I like Colorado. They've got a really good roster. I would say Tristan Da Silva, the forward, and KJ Simpson are liable to go off for 15 or 20 points apiece. But just like NC State, Colorado has a big man in Eddie Lampkin who teams just have trouble guarding. He's just so big. I mean, he runs slow, but, buddy, he can move you out of the paint with the best of them. And so I don't know. I like Colorado, but I think they could be a team that's really gassed as well. If you watch their last 2 games in the Pac-12 tournament, they looked exhausted. And I don't know if that's just where they were playing. You know, I don't know about the elevation difference from Colorado to Las Vegas where they were playing the tournament, but Colorado just didn't look like they had the energy. I mean, They got by on, I think it was Utah on Friday night. But they looked like they were running out of steam at the end. And then on Saturday, it looked worse against Colorado. They had spurts where they would look good, and then they had spurts where they would just look pretty bad. And Oregon came away with that game and won the Pac-12 tournament. So I don't know how much energy Colorado has to go into this game. I do still like their roster, but now that I'm looking at the head-to-head, they've only played one game against each other in history. November 20th, 2022. This was Colorado at Boise, and Boise won 68-55, and Boise was a 2-point underdog at home. Interesting. The only thing else I will say about this game is Colorado neutral site this year 4-2. Boise State is 2-4. And all four of these first four games are being played in Dayton, Ohio. So really, I would say Howard and Wagner, they're both East Coast teams. So it's not too much of a travel for them. On the other hand, Virginia would have the advantage in Dayton over Colorado State. And then I don't really think there's any advantage for Montana State and Grambling. They both have to travel a decent way to Ohio. Actually, I don't know where Grambling is located. Where is Grambling? Let's see. Grambling plays their home games in Louisiana. Okay, so yeah, they don't have any advantage going to Ohio, nor does Montana State. And then Boise and Colorado, they're traveling from the same time zone to Dayton, Ohio, so I don't think either one of them has an advantage there. Actually, you know what? I'm going to switch one of my picks. Give me Wagner. Give me the Seahawks. Plus 3.5. So one dog, three favorites. There you go. Lastly, I guess not lastly, I've got a couple more things I want to talk about. Next, the bracket takeaway. I just wanted to look over this bracket. There's a couple of teams that I don't like that got in. Let's see. Or are misseeded, I should say. The big one for me is Michigan State at the 9 seed in the West. They just don't have the record to get in. I think that's a bad call. I would rather have seen Colorado in that 9 slot not playing a play-in game and see Michigan State in the play-in game, if I'm being honest. Dayton, I don't know how they're a 7 seed. They didn't win their conference tournament. I don't understand. And their strength of schedule is not good. Yeah, I don't like that. The way they finished the year, I don't think Kansas should be a 4 seed. I think they're honestly a little bit lower, a 5 or a 6, just because of how they played to finish the year, how they got destroyed by Cincinnati in the conference tournament, and they have 2 major injuries that we don't really know what we're going to expect. So I don't know what to make of Kansas versus Samford on the 21st, but give me Samford. I think Tennessee at the 2 is right. They got crushed in their conference tournament. I'm okay with Marquette as a 2 in the South, but with the Tyler Kolek injury, I think they could maybe be a 3 as well. So it's ticky-tack, but kind of splitting hairs here. Yeah, I think that's all that really bothers me. But the matchups that I'm looking forward to, FAU and Northwestern on Friday at 12:15 Eastern Time on CBS. I know FAU had a great run last year, and I know that they're a high-flying offense, and that big man Vlad Golden is really good. But I like Northwestern. I think FAU's run is going to come to an end. I think you saw that with the Temple game the other day. They got surprised by a team that was less talented than them, and I think that's going to hurt them going into this game. I think if they had won that game and gotten to the finals, I would feel better about FAU. But no, I like Northwestern. So I know that's an 8-9 matchup. It's not really a big underdog, but I like Northwestern. Give me that. Also in the East bracket, sorry, that was in the East. The 7-10 matchup, Washington State versus Drake. This is going to be an excellent game. 10:05 Eastern Time on Thursday, the 21st. This is probably, let me see what other games are on the 21st. This is probably my favorite game on the 21st. Ooh, actually, that and on the other bracket, the South bracket, Kentucky and Oakland, just because that's a pretty close geographic matchup with that one. But Drake, I told you in last week's episode, Tucker DeVries and his dad, Darian DeVries, the coach. I love that team. I told you I would be on their first round matchup, and I love that matchup. On the South bracket, Wisconsin versus James Madison. Holy crap. 5-12 matchup on Friday the 22nd. I love James Madison. With the way that Wisconsin had to win the last two games, and James Madison just being one of the better teams in college basketball this year. I know they play in a smaller conference, but they went on the road and beat Michigan State. That's saying something. So take it or leave it, but that could probably be one of your bigger upsets of the week. James Madison versus Wisconsin. I'm trying to find the line right now. Here we go. Yes, Wisconsin is favored -5.5. Whoo-wee. And it opened at -4. How many games has James Madison won in a row? Oh my goodness. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. They're on a 13-game win streak. In the first game of the year, they beat Michigan State at Michigan State 79-76 as a 16.5 point dog. Woo! That.
And here we go.
That is awesome. Yeah, I'm going to be on James Madison to go 2-0 versus the Big Ten. So let's go Dukes. I already said I think the Texas Tech NC State matchup is a challenging one. I think State's going to be tired and Texas Tech can run. So that'll be an interesting game. We move down to the other half of the bracket. The St. Mary's Grand Canyon matchup is very interesting, but I think St. Mary's is going to get them. Grand Canyon may win the first half or something, but I think the Gales come through in the end. I do like that game. I want to watch that game. I already said I don't like Dayton. I like Nevada in that game. That is the one Wolfpack that I will root for. On the other bracket, the Midwest, I really like that Utah State team against TCU. And I like them in their next matchup if they have to play Purdue. Right below that, I love the 5-12 matchup with Gonzaga and McNeese. Holy crap, is McNeese a high-flying team. They run it up on everyone. They don't care. They will score as many points as they have to. And yeah, I think that is a team that can give other teams problems. And Gonzaga is not the best Gonzaga team we have seen out of Mark Few. They looked really good in the first half for St. Mary's in the WAC final, and not in the second half. So I like McNeese for the upset in the 5-12 matchup. Same bracket there in the Midwest. The 6-11 matchup with South Carolina and Oregon. Give me the Ducks. After winning on Saturday night, I'm going to ride Dana Altman and the Ducks. I think they're a hot team. Plus, Oregon has such cool jerseys. Why not? You got to root for them just for that. Those are my favorite games. I can't wait. I think this is going to be one of the better NCAA tournaments, and I think there's going to be some enormous upsets that we will get to witness this week. Yeah. I think
shake and bake.
I think that's a shake and bake. That's all I've got. So, Matthew McConaughey says,
All right.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up. I'll be back next Monday, I think. I think that's a good day for me to start, doing this is Mondays. So I'll record and I'll post at some point on Monday. Keep up with me on Twitter. I'll, as we approach Major League Baseball season, I'll get a little bit more into baseball. I wanted to highlight the Players Championship, but I'm running a little long on time right now, so I'm gonna hop off here and maybe save that for next week. We'll give a Masters preview. So thank you if anyone watches this. I will be getting out of here. We will catch you on the next one, and see you at the buzzer.